Hey, this is Dr. Pam Perry, and I'm so excited because next guest, is one of my favorite speakers. Favorite because I met him about 5 years ago, and I'm telling you, he was doing the thing, but some of the things were like a hot mess. But today, he's speaking all over the place, including being in the White House, in proximity with President Joe Biden, like a lot of things, and it just international, just really doing the darn thing. So I'm so excited to bring him up. He was also Rodney C. Burris was a cover guy in 2021. So right after this, we're going to bring up Rodney C. Burris. Yes. So Rodney C. Burris, full disclosure, Ready, Set, Go, Speak. He was one of the first students in that class. And when I tell you, those that show up go up, he showed up and he went through an entire course and like just consumed it all and took every suggestion, did all the things, and then also was part of the branding accelerator. Did that too. And also supported us with Speak Sell Shine. So he was doing all the things. And so I'm going to let you hear from him exactly all the places where he's been. He just was recently on television too. I think it was Be More Lifestyle. So those are the things. And he always is. The thing I want to say about any speaker out here, that those that show up go up, but also the more you give, the more you get. And so Rodney is one of America's top emotional intelligence trainers. So with that, I'm bringing up Rodney C. Burris.
Oh my goodness. It's such a pleasure to be here. What people don't know, Pam, is when I first heard of you and got a chance to hear of you and meet you, you felt like a godsend to me. It,
Oh,
it felt like there's this word, it's called Fernway. It means to miss something a place that you've never been to before. You were like a location that I had never met before, but once I did, it's like I knew I was missing that connection, right? I knew I was missing that influence, and so I dug in, and I
mhm.
dug in because I knew that no matter what I was going to get from you, it was going to be vastly more than what I had access to. I did go through that course. I did, and
You
y'all
did.
don't know. I sent her pictures. I was like, I'm working on it,
I
and I
did my
printed
work.
it.
You did
Yeah,
your work.
because I didn't want to just do it online, right? I really wanted to show Pam, and this is for anybody that you have in your life, guys. That if you have somebody that you believe can really get you to a new place, those people are not so impressed with your shininess. And one of the things, if I can say, I call Pam Auntie Mama because a part of her reminds me of my mom, actually, and like an aunt. This is this beautiful blend. Um, they are not so impressed with you as much as they see your potential to be better, or they see you in different places.
Yep.
And there's
I
a lot of
know.
people in my life prior to
Mhm.
Pam that have sung us praises, right? They've sung the Rodney song. And I appreciate that because it revalidated me and it reaffirmed me. And Pam was like, yeah, but it can be better. And sometimes she'd be like, that was raggedy. You need people. You need people, especially when it comes from a place of love and goodwill and good
It is.
intention. And so I dug in, and it's literally because of the website improvements, the photo shoots, the get your wording together,
The
get your
clarity.
position, all of
Mhm,
that sort of thing, right?
mhm.
Um, there's no way in the world that I would be a White House correspondent right now with close access around the
Yes.
president, right? Like, eh, I mean, that wouldn't happen if I looked how I did before I met them.
I have an email from August of 2023, almost a year. And I think the email said, "Have you talked to Donnie yet? Have you talked to him yet? Can you?" And I'm like always reminding you, "Did you
Yeah,
do this?" And
did
then
you
the
do it?
August 2023, and it's like, I said, "You need to be a part of Be More Television."
You did. You
And
did.
that was from August, but actually it was before that. I just happened to find the other
You've
email.
been saying this stuff to me, and you know what? Also,
I saw it. I
one
was
of
like,
the
"This
things
is
that I
him."
want to do better is I'll give you guys a parallel. It's like a dinner spread, like a rich, decadent dinner. That's Pam Perry. Her resources, her connections, her network is this decadent, rich, connective spread. And so I'm over here like consuming and eating and taking a part of. And she's like, more, more, more. And I'm so full, right? I'm like, I don't even know. But really what Pam sees, and I'm always going to be an advocate for Pam Perry because I see her doing it with other folks, right? Like there's people that are uniquely gifted to do what they do.
Mhm.
And Speakers Magazine is I'm gonna tell you something. There we go, right there, right? That's one of
Mhm.
my proudest accomplishments. I mean, I have
Yeah.
spoken in different places. I have been on other magazines. I literally look at that. Look at Sharon. Sharon's voice is like silk on the airwaves, right?
It
Sharon has
is.
a voice to. But Pam, I was looking at I forgot the name of the speaker. Oh my goodness! But there's a gentleman that was on Speakers Magazine cover, and he also has done multiple things in his life. And he did a video with in his background.
This one?
It
Delatorro?
wasn't that one. It wasn't that one. He did a video in the background with him in front of his Speakers Magazine cover, and this is
Oh,
also
YB.
YB. And so
Yeah.
no.
Eric C. Collier.
You're going to make me guess everything. But what I'm trying to say is that so many people resonate with Speakers Magazine. So
Mhm.
many people, I know for me, I have been on some amazing stages. I've been in some amazing places. And the cover is right over there, actually. My cover for Speakers Magazine is one of my proudest achievements. So, Pam, I know we didn't come over here for me just to sing your praises, but
No, I love walking through the airport when I go to events where the speakers are on the cover and I'm taking the cover to their event and I'm
yeah,
walking through the airport and they're going like, "Who is that? Who
what's
is
that?
that?" I said, "They're an international speaker. They're this, they're that, they're
It
the
adds
speaker." And
instant
and
credibility.
it's like, "Well, we got to handle this gloves." And I even like have some of the airline attendants where they're taking pictures with them and
Oh my goodness.
and they're just like, "Well, who is this speaker?" I says, "Well, you got to book them. You got to book them." So I just put something out the other day. It's like, "You got to book them." So one of the things that you're an activator, and so this is one of the books
Oh
that you
yeah.
have, Get
Oh
Off the
yeah.
Cycle
That's
and
right.
Run.
That's right.
And then you have Get Off the Cycle and Work.
That's
There you
right.
go.
That's right. That's
For
right. Look
you.
at where'd you get those from? Look at that.
I have all of the books of
You have everybody's stuff.
all of my clients around me. Yes, all of them. You
Guess what
know,
we're about to do, Pam?
because we even have this one around. Like when we
Look at that. Oh my
yeah,
goodness. Oh my goodness.
that's kind of like one of the ones where we were all of the people in BSN. That's how we kind of
Yeah, that
got
was
connected.
before I even heard about it. Yeah, I
Oh
wasn't
my
even in BSN there.
Yes.
But
So one of this particular one, it says sometimes breaking an old habit brings new success. And
that's
so
right.
that's one of the things about a cycle. If you keep doing the same
Right.
thing, you end up
That's
in the
right.
same spot and it's insanity.
That's
But now
right.
you got to get off the cycle and run. And so it's really like an activator, and which is true. So you walk your talk, you read the book, you read the books, you
That's
have
right.
mentors. I remember one time you went to go see Precious
Yes.
Williams in New York, and you says, "I'm on my way to get Precious because Precious is gifted at pitching. She's almost poetic with it, and she almost has like this little rap sound
That's
with it,
right.
you
That's
know.
right. That's right.
And you
That's
can
right.
always pick up something from
Right.
someone,
That's
and
right.
you know to do that. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things I think every speaker should do. I heard Jim Rohn, bless his soul, on a
Yeah.
video said the other
Yeah.
day, he says, in order to get good at what you want to do, you have to practice.
Yes.
Practice makes better. Doesn't make perfect, but practice. And so he said, if you want to be a speaker, you got to practice. He said, at least an hour a day. I was like, whoa, an hour a day. These speakers, I was like, I don't know if a lot of these speakers are doing an hour a day.
I
You know,
practice. But you want to know something? I was 12 years old. This is back when I was living in Florida, right? So I was living in Florida. I was in my dining room down there. And Pam, I used to see myself talking to throngs of people. And I used to say these things. And it was like a part of me would sit back and look at my little self like, what are you doing? Like, what are you? But I felt it. And this is
mhm.
going to sound a little corny.
You
but I'm gonna say
visualize it. You
I did
visualize it.
visualize it. I did
Mhm.
visualize it, and I saw. I haven't explained this to a lot of people, and I definitely have not explained this publicly. I don't think so. Here we go. Right, this is either going to sink my career, is going to blast me off into the stratosphere. But in a very interesting way, I saw like this light beaming from my body out to this throng of. I used to see this all the time, Pam, and I would be. I remember it was 11, 12 years old in this dining room that we had back then, and I would talk to the people about stuff, whatever it was that I don't even know the topics back then, but I saw me in front of, and it's so funny because my background was dark, just kind of like this, right? And I couldn't see the people, but they were like a mass of them. There was a lot of
Mhm.
them,
Mhm.
and it was this light coming out of me. And I remember thinking, I have a gift to take concepts and explain them real simply. I
Mhm.
used to think this is 11 and 12-year-old me. And so there have been different times in my life where I think about that moment. I've never been in an environment that quite looks like what I saw, like the kind of like darkness and all that. I mean, outside of this
Mhm.
place, right? But but I've always felt this, but I didn't know how to take it to the next level.
Mm.
And what
Mhm.
you and your programming, your assignments, your connections, what you do is first of all, you're very selective. You do have a kind of like a gathering for a group of folks, right? Just come in and get started. And that's good. But for those that you kind of say, you come on and you two and y'all sit over here and y'all work on this, right? And when you do that with us, I've seen it with Letitia Nicole. I've seen it
Mhm.
with, I mean, just time and time again. You take people, Pam, and you have a way of birthing that light that so many of us have, and you birth it out. I
Mhm.
feel so powerful in my walk. I didn't feel overwhelmed by the moment of being at the White House the times that I've went. I didn't
Yeah.
feel overwhelmed in the moment. I felt like I belonged,
Yeah.
right? And when I went on a TV show the other day, the gentleman introduced me as Mr. Emotional Intelligence.
There you go. You
It
gotta
felt
give yourself a name.
felt like
Mhm.
my name, right?
Mhm.
Like it just felt comfortable. Had it not been for the assignments and the work and the
Mhm.
right,
Mhm.
I don't think that I would have developed the skin because I knew I could connect with people, but I didn't own it the way I own it now. I own it
Mhm. 'Cause it takes rewriting of the bio,
now.
rewriting this,
Yo, man.
redoing this. Yes, and this and before we were just kinda like
Yes, sir.
author, speaker,
That's right.
coach,
That's right.
and
That's
that
right.
was it's like, but what about that? What are we
What
coaching? What are we
else?
offering? Yeah, it's like America's top emotional intelligence trainer,
And can I
and
tell
then
you why I'm
that
so
gives it
comfortable?
more
Yes.
specificity. Yes.
There's a show that I got invited to, Pam, because of the bio.
Oh my god. There you
Because
go.
of the bio. So there's
Mhm.
this woman, she's based in New York. I'll let you know what the show is coming up. But some way, somehow we got connected. I've been getting connected with it. Like the TV thing, the gentleman called me. I was walking around the lake here. We have a lake in Baltimore called Lake Montebello. I was just doing an exercise in the morning. He called me. He was at Marcia's event on Saturday.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I just saw him. Yes, he was at Marcia, the cover girl Marcia. I'm so proud of her. And he said, Rodney, my guest for, he said, are you in town? First thing he said, are you in town?
Right.
Because sometimes it might not be, right?
Right.
And he said, my guest for today had to cancel at the last minute. Would you like
Mm.
to come in? Now,
You gotta stay ready, so you don't have to get ready.
gotta
That's
stay
it.
ready. You gotta
Yes,
stay ready. And
that's it.
his platform costs actually. To
Mhm.
be on his show, he
Mhm.
charges.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
That's the name of the game
but
today.
I didn't have to pay anything.
Magazine.
I didn't have to pay anything. He told me that I was a blessing. When I got there and I walked into the studio lounge and they
You
buzzed
were
me
ready.
through all of it a little different, he said, because it's guest canceled. So he was
Mhm.
in a bind. He said, you're a blessing, young man. And I'm like,
Mhm.
this is Be More Lifestyle. The names that have come through this show have been so anyway, this is all due to the packaging, the polishing, the presenting of the speaker. Yes, I can talk.
Mhm.
Yes, I can
Yeah,
connect.
but you
But
didn't
how
go
does
in
it
there, you
look?
went in there, you dressed appropriately, so sometimes people will say, "Well, I wanna go in there and I wanna wear my brand T-shirt." I said, "Well, we're not gonna come in here looking like you selling popsicles, okay? We just not gonna do that, all right? I wanna wear this and this because I wanna wear a hat because I wanna look like ET." Well, ET is ET,
He
so
has a
we're not
brand.
gonna wear a hat. We're gonna take your hat off because you're not him.
That's right.
I wanna wear, this and I said, "Well, you want to mirror the
Yes.
guest,
Yes.
the host.
That's right.
So if the host is a suited up,
You
then
got
you
to
come
come
in
in
there
ready for
suited
that.
up."
Yeah.
If it's like it's just I say it's common sense, but I have found that I have had to explain to people, "Yeah, went in there with a T-shirt on." "Well, I had my brand name on it." "But you had on a T-shirt
Full of t-shirt.
on TV."
Man, you're making me feel self-conscious about my little shirt here now, okay? I'm
"But you got
repping.
a jacket on. But you
I
got a jacket on."
got a
That's
jacket
the
on.
main thing. And you know who told me that was Dr. George Frazier. Dr.
Oh,
George Frazier, because he trains a lot of trainers,
he does.
and speakers, and he said, especially for men, because I mostly kinda deal with a lot of women, and so women, we
Yeah,
go into the style and this and that. He
absolutely.
said, "But with men, especially black men,
Yeah,
they need to wear a jacket
you
or
got
a
it.
suit."
Yeah.
He
So
said,
my
"If
style has been the vest, as you see, right?
yeah, that's
That's
fine,
what I do, right?
but
And
not a lot of men are thin enough to wear the vest." So that works for you. Now when we start to add some pounds, we might have to put a jacket on top of the vest.
I
But
try to keep it fit, Pam. I try to keep it right.
keep it
I
fit,
wanted I
keep
wanted
it
to tell
right,
you
keep
something.
it tight.
Wanted to tell you about the bio. I wanted to tell you about so later on this year, we're working out the logistics. We are going to do an award show for the Pinnacle Award. We're going to have a whole show about it, and so it's starting to. We have some leaders here, and we're going to take it to other cities. Actually, this is such an exclusive. This is such an exclusive,
It's a
but
scoop.
this is the scoop. This is the scoop. So the model that we've identified is there are Detroit leaders, there are Philadelphia leaders, there are Baltimore leaders that are doing amazing things. So the Pinnacle Awards, just to tell you guys, the Pinnacle Award, it's a crystal trophy. It's beautiful. It's kind of heavy a little bit, and it honors those that have had impact in unlocking human potential and
Mhm.
inspiring greatness.
That's your tagline. Yep.
That's the tagline, right? And
Mhm.
so these people could be principals that have worked at the school for 10, 15, 20 years that have helped this crop and really done great work in the community. It could be a pastor that has really dug in. It doesn't have, we've given it to some very prominent people at this point.
Mhm.
Um, but it's not about prominence, it's about impact. And
Mhm.
so we have a system that we're developing right now to identify these impact leaders in your
Okay.
Detroits, in your Dallases, in your Jacksonvilles of the world. And we're going to have an evening, a very polished
Ah,
presentation where we honor them and we bring their people in and we give, and a major part of this, there were so many different inputs that created this award. One of them for me was Michael Jackson. And let me explain what I mean by that. Michael's ceremony, his homegoing service was one of the most grandiose things we've ever seen, right?
mhm.
Gold casket and all of this stuff. And just before then, he was in the thick of the throng of a media frenzy, right? A storm. And
Mhm.
so it's always, or it's consistently, we love to give flowers when people can no longer smell them and
Mhm.
perceive. And so this is not just about one honoring, but honoring people in front of their people, right? The people that they've had impact with, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one part of it. Another part of it, I don't know if you know this story, Pam. We're connected to some of these people, so we're going to protect the innocent. There's a partner that I had. It wasn't my company, a different company completely. And I said, I want to honor this individual. Let's do it in conjunction. Have I ever told you this story before?
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Oh, Pam. Okay. So, Dr. Pam, um, there's this company that I've partnered with, worked with before. Uh, and I said, hey, there's a person that we're both connected to. I would like to honor them. Let's do it together. They told me no. And they said they are not in the business of honoring people. And they said, even if they were to all of a sudden try to honor some folks, they have a list of priorities, and that wouldn't be high up on the list. And thirdly, the person that I was suggesting, although it's a great person, there are other partners that have done great things. And so they wouldn't even be the first one to get it. So they wouldn't be the first one. Honoring somebody wouldn't be priority, and we're not a award making company. And my feelings
Mhm.
were hurt. My feelings were hurt. I felt rejected. I felt crushed. And then I thought that I would do it myself.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And I said, you know what? I so the first iteration of the Pinnacle Award was called a Lifetime Achievement Award, right?
Mhm.
Rodney C. Burris presents the Lifetime Achievement Award.
But your
And then
company's called Pinnacle,
my
right?
company's called Pinnacle. And so my business partner was like, one, you got this award out here that don't got our company's brand on it, right? Put our logo on it, put our name on it. So it's presented on behalf of. So I was like,
Mhm.
fine, right? Because I was just trying
That's
to,
cool.
whatever. But us coming up with us putting the company name on it made the award take shape. So when we gave it to Al Sharpton, he was early in that process. His
Mhm.
award doesn't look like your beautiful award. His award actually is the shape of a cube, actually,
Oh, okay.
but it didn't look right.
Like a
The
pinnacle, right,
It looked like a pinnacle. It didn't look
right.
like a pinnacle. And where we landed with the name and the presentation. And so when we've given it to people since you, and it hasn't been a whole bunch, we've been very selective about it in our process, etc. Bam, the light that people shine, like they just come up like, oh my goodness. And I remember the most recent person that we awarded, she's going into the Hall of Fame in her industry. And she was standing on the stage and she was explaining to the crowd and the cameras how this award is indicative of her being at the pinnacle of her career because she's going into the Hall of Fame. And
That's
this is
cool.
an award that came out of my heart. And she's
Mhm,
explaining to people why it's so important.
mhm,
And so, anyway, we're going to do that for people around the country. We're
mhm,
going to do it around
mhm,
the country. And so, we're going to start here, of course, in Baltimore. We're going to take it to DC because that's a nearby city. Detroit is always on the short list of everything I do. Philly
mhm.
is one of my favorite cities to go to.
Yes,
So,
I love
I'm just
Philly.
letting you know that that's coming. That's such an exclusive. My biz partner with Flip, he's an attorney. He doesn't like anything that's not in writing. And
But things that come out of your heart, I mean, it's one of those things where I just spoke with a young lady who had, her magazine is called Successful Black Parenting Magazine. She was the first magazine of its kind to have that kind of thing back in the '90s, and she just relaunched it online. And it came out of her heart, and she didn't know it was gonna get all this notoriety, but if you just follow your gut, follow your intuition, follow your heart,
that's right.
things do work out.
That's right.
And a lot of times, I started Speakers Magazine because it was really wanted to give speakers shine. And it's been 7 years. And one of the things when I connected with Brian, it was like, I see someone that has the same type of heart for Black speakers.
That's right.
And the lady with the Black Parenting, Successful Black Parenting magazine, I didn't know that her daughter,
Mm,
when she started the magazine, she was about, I think she said about 8. At
mhm.
about 12, her daughter started professional modeling. By the time she was 16, her daughter, successful parent, is in New York, Fashion Week. She eventually became modeling with Tyra Banks, and
Oh,
Naomi Campbell was
oh,
in Vogue like several
oh,
times.
wow.
And I'm like, okay. I said, "So this is for real?" She says, "Oh, no." She says, "I'm about it when it comes to
Wow.
Black parenting and successful Black parenting." And so she told me a story that at one point in time, she reached out to someone to partner with them. It was a major organization,
Yeah.
white, and they were a publishing company. And she says, "Why don't you have a division, or, why don't we partner
Uh-huh.
on reaching out to Black parents?" Well, they didn't really respond to her. They just took her idea, and then they
Oh,
started doing they started doing their own, and they're white, and they started doing the Black parenting thing.
oh,
They saw a market for it. Well, she was hurt,
of course.
and she says, "What if they wanted to do that, why couldn't we just partner?" And we always ask that about people. It's like, if you want to do that, why didn't you just partner?
Work
But some
together.
people see money and opportunity, but you have the heart. So it
Yeah,
doesn't matter what anybody else does because you have the heart. God gave it to you as a
that's right.
vision,
That's right.
and it's never going to go away. It's going to be different no matter what somebody else may try to do, and they may say,
Right.
"Oh, we're going to do this and this." It will never last. And I
Yeah.
told her, karma is really a beast. So, you don't even worry about it. But now she's come back, and it is just amazing the things that she writes about and talks about that Because she's a Black parent. I mean,
It's an
she
awesome
talks about
story.
people who have kids that have autism or, just all kind of things. I mean, it grows because of her heart. And so I always tell people, I said, you need to follow your heart.
Yeah,
Don't look on Instagram and all these other things about, oh, what somebody's doing this and doing that. I said, but you don't know what's under the hood. You don't know. You don't know what's beyond what's on this just a highlight reel. Just do you.
that's right.
Which
That's
is one of the things. What I like what you did with this book is that you made a workbook. And I didn't open it up, but just so that you know, this is a whole textbook in by itself. This
it's a
could have been like
curriculum.
8 books,
It's a
okay?
curriculum. Yeah,
It could have been like 8 books, but this is a thing that you go through with people and you actually, keep them on track,
that's right.
run and it's just genius how you put all this together.
Thank
Uh,
you. That was a
you
labor of love, Pam. I did that at my workstation here at my home,
Mhm.
and one of my companies in DC bought that by the caseloads, and I took their people through
Wow.
over the course of about a
Wow.
year or so.
Wow.
Um, and that was an expensive book. That because it's full
Yeah.
color, right?
Right,
I
right.
was gonna make it black and white, but it takes that the color gives it.
Gives it that pop. It
That's
gives
right.
it the pop. And that's one of the things too that when you have a vision for it, it's like, okay, we're gonna have to bite the bullet. This is what we want. This is what we want to do.
Yeah.
So what I want to ask you now, so you've done the podcast, you've been on television, you had some newspaper coverage, and I'd like you to see more newspaper coverage. I'm always gonna be a print person.
Yes.
Uh, but you were in the Afro. So give us a little short story about
I
you
should have brought
meeting
that
the
with
woman from the Afro. Was it Tony Draper?
No, well, Tony Draper is the head lady in charge.
Okay, okay,
I met a woman by the name of Megan Sales,
okay.
and so that's a very funny story. It's one of my favorite stories to tell. I got so many Pam stories, oh man, and they're growing. Like my bucket of Pam stories is just growing. My file's growing.
But you saw
So
that you saw Megan with one of the was it the 30 under 30
I saw that
award?
and I reached out
Edi
to her. I reached
Editor
out
and
to her about
Publisher
that.
magazine
Yeah.
said that she was one of the top 30 under 30, and she was one of the few African
Yes.
American people in that issue. So I was really proud of her as
She's really
well.
progressive.
Mhm.
She's really progressive. So, all right. So one of my favorite stories, guys. So anyway, um, Pam is a big promoter of print. She always has been. There's one of the longest running, if not the longest running,
The
black
oldest one.
newspapers, the
Mm.
oldest running in America. It's called the Afro. They're headquartered in Baltimore. And Pam said, Rodney, you need to be in that paper. Now, mind you, let me tell you something else, Pam. I don't know if you noticed. I mentioned this to you before. Sometimes you say, just do this. And to you, it's like, just go. And to me, I see this huge abyss of
I'd be like, "Let's just run." So I'm
and I'm
just
like,
putting the
how do
words
I
back
even
at you.
like what like but that's just because you have a wealth of experience in what you do and you're great at what you do. And so anyway, Pam said, listen, I don't know if you had her reach out to me or if I reached out to her. I forgot exactly how you made the connection, but you were like, you're gonna be in contact with her. Make her your best friend. Say these words to her. You're gonna land a front page. And I was like, is that how it works? Is that how it works? I have a
She just needed to know you, that's all.
You just needed to know me. We had a phenomenal conversation. We talked for maybe about 90 minutes or so. She
Mhm.
asked me a ton of questions, and
She's a good reporter.
she's
Mhm.
a great reporter. And it shifted, Pam. It went from the static who, what, where, when type questions, and it started being a dialogue. We were conversing.
Mhm.
And there's so much of when I went back and read the article reflects our conversation. Actually, it's not. I thought it was going to be, "Who are you? How you doing?" You know how interviews sound, right? Tell me more about that. It doesn't sound like that. It's not a Q&A. It is. We talked about this, and Rodney shared this, and it's because we made that interpersonal connection that you suggested. She needed to know me, and that took it from something that was tucked on page 5 or 8 to something that was on the front page of the business section. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm. And the
it
title was Rodney C. Burris Leadership
that leadership development and some I forgot exactly, but she said something
Le
about being a change maker, and It's
Yeah.
over there. Like I'm look
Yeah.
all of my stuff is kind of like over there posted
And
up.
that's the thing I tell people about any type of press or PR really does make your credibility because Rodney can say, "Hey, I'm the top such and such," but when you're coined that by a
Correct.
publication, by a
Yeah.
reporter, and it's printed
Correct.
in a headline, you can now say it. I remember one of the proudest moments in my career many years ago when Publishers Weekly, which
Uh-huh.
is really the literary magazine for the industry, right? For all publishers.
Uh-huh.
They called me a PR guru. And I'm like, "What?" And it says, "PR guru Pam Perry." I'm like,
Wow.
"Oh my god." And then a lot of people start calling me that. Now, I couldn't come out and say, "I'm the PR
I'm a
guru,"
PR
and
guru.
nobody has ever said it other than me. It's
Some
like,
people say that though, right? Some
I know,
people
but
take
that
that.
ain't
But to your point, to your point, I didn't really start walking in this whole emotional intelligence, being one of the nation's top trainers for emotional intelligence, until I landed this federal contract. And so
mhm,
when I landed this contract with the Federal Department of Education, they have 4,000 employees there. I'm training their senior leaders, right? So these are basically your equivalent of C-suite executives. It's hundreds
mhm.
of them that oversee the body of 4,000. And one of the things that kept coming up was emotional intelligence, emotional intelligence. And can you do more around this? Can you do more around it? And when
Mm,
I started taking a step back, first of all, I was pulling material from my book because that cycle book is about self awareness and emotional
yes,
intelligence,
it
right?
is.
And so I was
Mhm.
like, wow, I've been doing this work. Well, the term came from one of those senior leaders, and she sent the message. This was inside of the chat. This was inside of this federal government uses Teams instead of.
Mhm.
And so inside of the Teams chat, she said, I've been doing this work for X amount of years, 20 something years. She said, I've seen a lot of trainers come through. And then she wrote this. Rodney C. Burris is one of the nation's top trainers on emotional intelligence.
There you go.
Told
That's
it.
it.
I
That's it.
told it. And so to be on a federal stage with people that are not new, that have already seen it, been around the block a few times, got some season on them, and say, this is an informed statement that I'm making. This is a qualified statement that I'm making. I'm far advanced in my career, and that's one of the top that I've seen around emotional intelligence. But Pam, if it wasn't for, please just allow me to say this because I don't often get to thank you like I want to. So I'm gonna take this opportunity. If it wasn't for the gauntlet of exercises and conversations and work and reminders and all
Boy.
of the things that you had done over and the fussing. I'm always gonna say the fussing because it worked. I don't know if you can fuss at all your people, but it spoke my language,
I
right?
know, because I
It,
was just like, I just saw the it factor in you. I was like,
you
"Oh, we gotta
always
take
said
it up
that.
a level." And then one of the things, and I'm just gonna put it out there, I want you to redo the book,
Okay,
just update it, and
okay,
then do a
okay,
new cover, and
okay.
just reintroduce it. You wrote this so many years ago, so I'm sure you can add more to it or, that kind of thing, and just
Uh-huh.
give it a different look. What I would like to see is you on the cover as well.
Oh, I'm on the back. You see my little stuff on the back?
Yeah, I see it on the back, but we look at
That's
the
not the front. It's not the front. Okay. Okay, I never thought about that. I'm actually so you
you
don't
know,
know this. When you
yeah.
start talking to me, if you call me and you say more than 4 or 5 words, I pull up a pen. You don't know that, do you?
Like Nicole Roberts
Mr.
Jones
Nicole Roberts Jones.
on the
Okay.
cover of her own book,
Cover up her own book.
so yeah, so that's what you wanna do. Like I tell you, I got all my clients' books around me.
When you start talking, Pam, I start taking notes. Review update. So, but
Mhm.
listen, I was making a point. The cover. Hold up. The cover
And
uh
most speakers should have a book
with
with
them on the cover.
their yeah, because a lot of times at the back of the room sales, people will go back and they will buy whatever you have. I mean,
Gotcha.
they'll buy a T-shirt, they just want a souvenir after they have heard you speak. I tell it's kinda
Yeah,
like,
they want something
you
that's
you
you.
want something, but if you have your face on the cover, they're more likely to buy it because they've just heard you.
Yeah,
So now
that
they
doesn't
wanna
look like me. You're right. There's nothing about that that says Rodney Seaberg outside of my
this
name.
is Rodney's book, right. Yeah.
That's a good point. So
Yeah.
what I was telling you is that when she said that to me, I owned it so comfortably. But that's
Mhm.
because I put in the work with you. You
Yeah.
had helped. like a trainer, like a personal trainer. Like I felt comfortable with it. By comparison,
Mhm.
there was another national director who sent trainers around the country, and he said Rodney C. Burris is one of the nation's top in unlocking human potential, inspiring greatness.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my goodness, like, and Oliver, my attorney, was like, put it on the website, and I was like, no, 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 no. He's like, webmaster, put that on the website, and I was so ashamed of it. I was so ashamed of that because it felt bigger than me. It
Mhm.
felt grandiose. It felt braggadocious. And it took me a long time to eventually get to the point where I could award somebody that for that same thing. That was a process.
Mhm.
You were a major part of that process. So by the time I met somebody else, like that senior leader, who says to me, you're one of the nation's top, I feel international.
Mhm.
I feel
Mhm.
worldwide. I feel impactful. And
Mhm.
so it just feels fitting. It feels comfortable. But
Mhm.
that's literally due to you being great at what you do. You are a guru, in my opinion.
Good, good. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, when Publishers Weekly said that, it was like, oh, oh. But by this time, I think I'd been in the business like maybe 15 years or so. So,
Oh wow. You
yep,
knew. You
yep,
knew what you were doing at that point.
yeah, yeah. By then, but just to hear somebody else say it, it was like, oh my god. So
Yes.
one of the things that I really the next phase, we always have different phases of things that we do. And I've been pushed. Every coach should have a coach. So my next coach is like telling me to do the TV show, TV show. And I always had these things like, I don't have a studio, I don't have this, I don't have that. And so finally, perfect storm happened where I have all the things. So there's no excuses now because we can always try to throw the excuses up. Oh, I need
Right.
to lose weight or whatever, just, my hair ain't the right color, or got bad hair, so the TV show is actually coming in the studio. So that
What's
one of
what?
the ones when it
Yeah.
comes, I want you to be a part of that. So I'll let you know
Absolutely.
when that comes as well. But I want people to know where they can find out more about you and where they go
Yes.
to find out more and what they will get when they go to rodneycburris.com.
Absolutely. So first of all, the fact that you all can go to rodneycburris.com, the fact that you can find me at Rodney C. Burris on Twitter, at Rodney C. Burris for YouTube, for Facebook, for LinkedIn, for TikTok, for Instagram, is because of Pam Perry. Because Pam Perry told me, she said, Rodney C. Burris is a brand. I made a mistake and allowed us to print something and get something pushed through that listed my name as Rodney Burris. And at this point, Pam wasn't even fully my, although she didn't know it, she wasn't fully my publicist. She was to me. It was already happening. But she took the time and she said, Rodney, Rodney C. Burris is a brand. Don't ever give me a second. That's my son. I am on a call.
Or don't say Rod when it's Rodney. You
Yes,
Because
yeah,
my
yeah.
real
She
name is Pamela, but I don't go Pamela or Pam because SEO needs to find which one we're talking about.
right,
So it's
right, right,
always
right,
gonna
right,
be
right.
Pam,
I'm,
even though
I,
the driver's license and when you go through the airport, it's gonna be Pamela, but they ain't searching for me on the internet.
right,
So
right, 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 right.
you wanna know what are people searching for, and so they're
There's
searching for Rodney C. Burris, and
that's
it's
right.
consistent. That
My
is
son
that is
just walked in here and interrupted me. I don't even know if you guys heard it. So my wife has a lot of kids.
The
Pam,
successful the so you all need to get successfulblackparenting.com and actually write some articles for that. Maybe have her write because she's looking for writers. I always tell people, I said they are looking for writers, true stories. They have to have a little research behind it. So, she's definitely not like, oh, just write whatever, but she'll give you your writers get deadlines and things like that. But successfulblackparenting.com. Dan, as we're giving you a shout out. I just love her. But yeah.
um, yeah,
So
Rodney C. Burris is a brand. Can I give you another update? So I had the opportunity to do a TED talk, and I was looking forward to this, and the event didn't happen. So let me explain, because this is kind of a shout out to you, even though the event didn't happen. So TED is a behemoth, right? They have a brand, and
Mhm.
they're in order to host a TED branded event, you got to meet guidelines. Yes.
Yep.
Well, there were going to be 40 speakers. We were flying out to the Dominican Republic. We were going to speak to an American retreat, a leadership retreat. And a part of that retreat was going to be this TED Talk series. Well, 40 speakers, only four of us were packaged the right way for TED to approve.
Oh my goodness.
Only
That's not
four of us.
enough?
That's not enough at all. So Ted was like, you can't do it, or you need to get different speakers or whatever it is. And the coordinators didn't feel like going through the work of it and all that. So the event fell apart.
Mm,
But Pam,
mm,
four of us were packaged properly. Four of us had our story together. Four of
mm.
us had the look that they felt was intriguing. Four of
Yeah.
us they felt were newsworthy and printworthy. That is a direct result of the training, of the
Mm.
exposure, of the building up that I've gotten from being um, a client of what
That
you
is
do.
good.
So,
What you
also,
remember the very first thing that I said I wanted you to change wasn't the pictures. I mean, that was one. I mean, in the pictures in the video, but I tell this to people all the
what
time.
was it?
It was the email.
What email?
It was the Gmail. It was da da
Oh,
da da at Gmail.
I didn't have customized it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes,
now you have info at
yes, I
rodneycburris.com.
do. I
And
do.
that's so much like it's like Oprah would not be Oprah at gmail.com. It's
No,
Oprah at Oprah.com. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's her name. It's like
that's
that's
right.
what so I always tell people, I said that's the first part. And I talked to a woman the other day and she says, what do you tell people? I says, they need to be more professional about every little touch point of your brand. Every touch point, the colors, the name, the email. People are judging every little step along the way, especially the media. If they see something that is off kilter, then you're they got so many other people they can pick. It's like, nah, that's okay. Like you said, out of 40, they only found four because they can see, like, okay, they don't have this, they don't have that, they don't have this, they don't have that. Goodbye. And so the ready, set, go, speak is really that. And a lot of people will come in and then they won't show up anymore. And I always say, if you could take it, you can make it. So a lot of people don't want to put in the work,
Yeah.
but they want the results. And so Jim Rohn always says you can wish for it or you can work for it, right? So
Oh,
you gotta work for it. You don't
notable.
just you
I like
don't wish
that.
for it. Wishing ain't gonna get you nowhere. So you gotta work for it. And I find that, people that come in the community, they pay the money and they just like, oh, this is she got a magic wand. It's just she gonna put this over me and it's gonna work. No, 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 no. The stuff is in there for you to read, for you to
Yes,
understand, for you to print out, for you to do the homework and it will work over time.
that's right.
And some of the things are like, "Oh, I already got that." Well, if you already had it, then you would be further along. My thing is that, if you got it all together, then you should be Oprah.
Right,
So
right, right.
all of us should like go through that whole part of really making sure, even if you read Speakers Magazine, you read it, you get it, subscribe to it, and
Yeah,
then look at what the other
right.
authors are doing. Look at what Eric Holmes is doing. Look at what Shelley Fanfan is doing. Read their bios, go on their website, see how they're packaging themselves. What are they giving away as their freebie on their opt-in?
Yeah,
I mean, those are influencers in your industry. So if you're in an industry and I say, well, what are the top five people in your industry? And you can't name but two, everybody always say Oprah or whatever. I said, well, she's not a direct, you're not going to be Oprah in 5 years.
that's
Okay.
right.
So
That's right. That's
I
right.
asked someone that that we just had on Get Out There Getting On podcast. She says, oh,
Uh-huh.
Rodney C. Burris, he's like my mentor. I want to make sure that Rodney knows a mentor. I said, no, Rodney is also in our program, Ready, Set, Go Speak, Miss Lady. She went to get on the cover magazine. I was like, I don't think you're ready yet. But there are certain things where people just think that it's easier than it is.
Yeah,
And when they start digging into it, they get like, oh my God, I see yeah, there's so much that you don't know,
that's right.
but that's why you have a guide.
That's
And
right.
even if you find out who your influencers are, make a list of them, connect with them, maybe do some work with them, network with them. They're part of your industry. And so Speakers Magazine has a magazine every month over the
Uh-huh.
last 7 years, and you should go through them and see who you can connect with, and maybe you can do a seminar with them or whatever. Those are the type of things that I always just tell people to do.
You have any upcoming speakers magazine conventions event like bringing all of the speakers over the past year or so? You have ideas about that?
No, the TV show is the priority now.
Okay.
Event wise, just to Speak Sell Shine, then that'll be coming up in the fall, and that'll
When is
be
that?
that is in October 8th and 9th.
Is that still at the same place?
It's going to be at the Howard Theater.
Pam, freeze and click your camera on and off because you look frozen
I
right now.
know. I think it is not gonna work, but just keep going.
Well, there it is. There it is. You're back.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah,
You're
just
back.
keep
You're
going.
back. So wait,
There.
October 8th and 9th, where is it going to be at the National Press Club again?
The Howard Theater.
The Howard Theater.
Yes,
And
the state of art theater is older than the Apollo, but it is like the Apollo. So
I've
that's
been there. I went to
yeah.
a concert there before. I
Ex
have
exactly. So it's
it's
like a
beautiful.
concert. It'll be like a concert. It will be state of the art staging, lighting, interviews, and also involving, Howard University, School of Communications and Journalists. So, yeah,
Oh
so
wow.
that's where and, I do everything Black. Everything is like I'm pro-Black.
You
You
are.
know, I
You're
just
good at
just
it.
even though I have blonde hair, right, and that kind of thing, it's like, "She is so pro-Black."
Well,
It's like, "Yeah."
we can rock, and listen, we can rock anything.
I
I
heard
told
today
you
that Mary J. Blige said she was gonna retire. I was like, "No, she can't retire. What am I gonna do? I can't have you retire. That means I gotta retire." Then
it
they
ain't
said
time. Mary
then
can retire. You
then
can't
Mary J.
retire
Then
either.
somebody said Mary J. said, "Well, she's gonna go act." Oh, I said, "Oh, she's got another
Got
chapter.
you. She's switching. Okay. Because
She's just
yeah,
gonna act." I
we're
said,
in this
"Okay, please."
lifestyle. We're
I
in this
was like,
lifestyle.
"You
I
can't be."
quote you a lot, Pam. And I have a buddy of mine that sings. He reminds me of Stephen Boyd, actually.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
he speaks and he sings, right?
Yes, Willie
Um,
Jolly speaks and sings. So,
Willie
yeah.
Jolly speaks and sings, right? And so one of the things that he's been in the Baltimore, so he's been a part of major CD projects nationally, big time gospel recording artist, background vocals. He sings at a really big church here in Baltimore, but he doesn't like expending energy. So when the singers have a get together or it's another little thing, or it's an after party after the recording, he doesn't go to anything for years, 10 years, right? And
Mhm.
he's like, man, I would have such a bigger following if I started going to stuff. And I said, my publicist says those that
Those that
show
show
up
up, go up.
go up.
That's it.
And I met Willie Jolly because Pam Perry said, Rodney, I'm having an event and I want you to be here. I was like, Pam, I don't know if I'm gonna be in town. You was like, rearrange your schedule. I was like, Pam, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to be there. And then it turned out that I could be there. And I was like, well, Pam, I don't know, I'm kind of sleepy. I don't know. And you was like, come here and just be a part. And you was like, help me out. Come and help me out. So I went there and I was willing to push chairs and push a broom and all that kind of stuff. And two things happened. Well, three things happened to your credit about show up, those that show up go up. First of all, there was this little small moment where you and the leadership had to step aside and you guys gave me 20, 30 minutes to engage the crowd.
We had to go do the video down in
And go
in
do
the,
the video.
studio.
Well, one of the participants in the audience of that group was a gentleman that works for the Naval Intelligence.
Mhm, mhm.
He was blown away. So he got on the horn and he said, y'all need to get this guy in here. Yes. Then he found one of my old videos that I probably would have gotten in trouble about, one of my old little granny joints. But I did an
It shows growth.
interaction.
It shows growth.
I did an interaction in that moment in that video that also blew his. So he got to see me, feel me, and then he got to see it. So then
Mhm.
he made a call. So I just went to the Office of Naval Intelligence. We're talking about something major coming up now with them. So that
Good.
was just an inroad. Now we're talking about big major stuff, even kind of
Mhm.
beyond what he even has access to based on the people that were in the room. Real quick little thing about that, Pam. Example. I do this thing where I demonstrate with volunteers the strength of a triangle, the strength of three sides: my truth, your truth, and then an inclusive truth that we may be blind to, right? And so, not being closed minded, emotional intelligence is about being open minded to.
Mhm.
Well, in order for me to do that, I have my participants make a triangle with their arms on the stage, right? I had these two burly dudes, full military uniform, and they're up on the stage, and I use like a bridge analogy, and they're kind of hands on each other's shoulders. And then I'm like, well, that's not a strong bridge, right? Because the best bridge is a trust. True story. TRUSS is a trust bridge. It's the strongest bridge. And it's a series of conjoined triangles, three sides, right? And so I make them put the archway here and then put your arm up here and there. I make them interlock fingers. It's the most uncomfortable, corny, hilarious thing in the world, right? And I'm like, and it's such a strong bridge, even in the wind blowing, and I'm pushing them back, and I'm pushing, and they're trying to resist it, but I'm making them rock. And so now it looks like they two-stepping past. It looks like these two guys are busy. Well, it goes over great. It's such a great because I always pick the guys that shouldn't be doing this. I do this all the time, right? But I didn't know I did 5 things. That was my second, and then I did a fifth one. I brought the same two up. I did something completely different. They both participated. What I didn't know is that one of the participants was a Master Chief Commander, big guy up there swaying back and forth. Because he was participating, it gave permission to everybody else to participate. It was such a great engagement, right? It was such a connecting moment the whole time that we did a really good job. That came out of showing up. And then thirdly was really jolly. And I got to meet somebody who I sat in my car, cold, letting the car warm up to go talk to some high school somewhere in Delaware, Jersey, or you name it, for 30, 45, 50 minutes in the lunchroom or the cafeteria, the gym, the gym, wherever. And I would listen to Willie Jolly. And he would come on early in the morning. It would still be dark outside. And he had this thing, Pam, that it only takes a minute, right? It only takes a minute for motivation. And he had this little jingle that was singing. It might have been him singing it. I didn't know who was singing it, but it was a song. And then he would say these words, and I would be like, okay, right? Like, let's go, right? And I would listen to him, and then after him would be Steve Harvey. And Steve Harvey's first moments was also motivational. So I had this like extended boost of feeding into myself so that I could go give. And now, oh my goodness. Let's get a call.
So now we got a chat. Okay. See the chat. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you for allowing me to tell my little.
No, but one of the things too, when you got the magazine,
Yes.
and I said, I could have sent them to him. I sent them to you because I wanted you to take it to him. And I said, I want you all to meet up. I said that he was a cover, I think January. He was covered January. And so I sent him to you and I said, I want you to take these magazines to him. He's looking for them. And so anyway, so hopefully you guys met because that was one of the things where I just wanted to make sure that you all had the connection. I was like, I need you to go and take these magazines. You all meet up. I don't know where you're going to meet them up or whatever. So that was one of the main things because I knew that eventually, because even before that, I think we met him on Clubhouse, but you hadn't met him in person. So I want you to have some one-on-one time with him as well because he is one of the masters at doing what he does. So yes. So RodneyCburris.com. They can go there. They can get on your email list.
Yes, they can. And also I have a free gift. It is a version of my book. It's called Get Off the Cycle and Sprint. And so anybody that signs up, right, they get a version of that.
Good. That's what I want to hear. So they go there, they go to Rodney C. Burris, they get a free gift from him, and then also follow Rodney C. Burris on all the platforms. Rodney C. Burris, thank you so much for joining Speakers Magazine. God bless you.
Thank you, Pam.
So that was Rodney C. Burris. He is the man. I'm telling you. So go to speakersmagazine.com. You can actually go there and read his issue that he was on the cover of September of 2021. Read all the issues. You can even download it and all that kind of stuff. But I just really appreciate Rodney. He just does so much. So with that, I'm Pam Perry, and I'm out. Take care.